If you want to introduce someone new to MST3K, you should probably be careful which episode you choose to show them first. You want to leave a good impression on the show and leave them wanting more, and to that end, something like Skydivers probably isn't a good choice. Now keep in mind, this isn't a list of what I consider to be the worst episodes of MST3K, or even the worst movies that were ever featured on the show. Just some that are maybe a little more inaccessible to new viewers.
You know, aside from the fact that I'll never again experience joy in my life,
Number 10.
I don't think Red Zone Cuba had any kind of negative effect on me.
Oh, hi everybody, welcome to the Satellite of Love. Tom Servo's just teaching us the importance of the proper exercise to warm us up before we go into the experiment.
Mystery Science Theater 3000 originally debuted in 1988 on local Minneapolis station KTMA, but was dropped after 21 episodes. It was picked up the following year for its official first season by the Comedy Channel, which would later become Comedy Central, and given a complete makeover. Those first 21 episodes are, for the most part, lost to the sands of time, and have come to be known as Season 0, or the KTMA era. But since the Comedy Channel era marked what was pretty much a reboot, the Best Brains eventually re-released the 5 Gamera movies that had previously been covered in the KTMA episodes. I found the original Gamera from Season 3 to be slow going at first, only really picking up when Kenny entered the picture. And though it does have one of my favorite "does this remind you of anything" / breaking the fourth wall jokes ever, this may not be the best bet for someone's first episode. Riffs tend to be funnier the worse a movie is, and Joel actually thanks the Mads at the end of this one for not sending such a bad film this time.
What do you mean, thanks? Oh, here, file this, and give Joel a shock to the chamois.
I know it's our job to send you really bad movies, but this time, even I have to admit,
Number 9.
we really went too far.
But there's still one button that works, so you're still getting your final movie. I give you Diabolic.
Besides the obvious reason that the series finale is never a good place to start with someone new, honestly, this riff isn't the strongest. Don't get me wrong, I laughed out loud plenty of times, but this isn't like a Mutiny or Merlin or Mitchell that has me rolling in the aisles every time I see it. Instead of ending with a bang, it feels more like the show just sort of fizzles out, which actually gives the whole episode and Mike's return to Earth more of a tragic feeling than a triumphant one. The best part of the episode is the last shot, and while it won't mean much to new viewers, it was the perfect way to end the show.
When he takes that mask off later, his weird tan will give him away.
You guys, you know, this movie isn't really that good.
Yeah.
That's
Number 8.
right, that's true. It's time! Dr. F is calling for you!
Thanks to executive meddling, MST3K, the movie, is only half the film it could have been. Its distributors put more than a few creative restrictions in place in an attempt to make the film more accessible to new viewers. And while that's certainly true of the riff itself, there are significantly fewer obscure pop culture references and a lot more obvious ones, the same can't really be said of the host segments. They're peppered with in-jokes, and really, why else would you be excited about getting to see Tom Servo's room for the first time unless you were a longtime fan and that actually meant something to you? Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie, feels like it's torn between pandering to the target audience and trying to cast a wider net, and in doing so it just kind of feels incomplete and frustrating. Not a bad time at the movies by any means, but there are better episodes with which to whet a newcomer's palate.
Exeter died on impact. Brack was arraigned in Superior Court, County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
You may just all bow down before
Number
me
7.
after this stink burger.
Any movie with Waka Cha Waka in it is okay by me.
Yeah. Waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka.
It was the 3rd of September.
This is one of my absolute favorite episodes. It makes me laugh out loud every time I see it, and gives me a surprising amount of feels at the same time. The riffing is so strong, it would make for a great introduction to the show. The only reason I would caution against this being your first episode, and it's a big one, this was creator Joel Hodgson's last appearance on the show and the first appearance of his successor, Mike Nelson. It's not hard to understand what's going on, but Joel's departure has the best emotional impact if you know who he is, what his relationship with the bots is like, and why him leaving is such a big deal for them.
Hey, see you later. Sorry, folks, I can't come back. I don't know how it works. Goodbye.
Try that.
So what do you want to leave so bad? You just got here.
Number 6.
You've been watching the same movie I have, right? You man's got to try, fellas.
Dig this, mes amis. Your average Joe has never seen a film like today's experiment.
While an all-around great riff, classic episode, fan favorite, and huge contributing factor in making Manos so famous, this is not your best bet for a first riff. 30 minutes into the movie, the only real joke Joel and the bots have managed to come up with is that nothing has happened yet. This riff requires faith that things will get better, and they do. Oh boy, do they ever do. But it helps if you know and trust what the best brains can do before you dive into this stinker. But when you do, you'll be glad you did.
Yes. Yes.
Do something! Gah.
Joel, this movie really isn't very good, is it?
Number 5.
Movie sucks, Joel.
Soup taper? What? Let it get a little close. The Soup Taker!
While a hilarious riff in itself, this episode has become an enduring fan favorite entirely for the host segments, which revolve around Joel returning to the satellite of love. Obviously, the impact is only there if you know who Joel is and why his initial meeting with Mike is so sweet, and it's particularly enjoyable if you're very familiar with the way Joel and the bots interacted over the years, who he is to them, and why him coming back is such a big deal.
Because the years I spent here on the satellite of love were the best damn years of my life, and I wouldn't want you mugs to miss a minute of it.
Really?
Number 4.
We're never gonna make it! This is a bug hunt, man! A bug hunt!
Game over, man! Game over!
Well, in regards to today's movie, I'm just going to say rock climbing.
Rock climbing?
Yes, rock climbing.
Even though this episode introduced one of the biggest jokes in the show's history,
Rock climbing, Joel.
it is boring. Aside from some stop-motion dinosaurs that only show up 3/4 of the way into the film and only stick around for about 5 minutes, the episode's greatest strength is...
Rock climbing, Servo.
Rock climbing,
Rock
Joel.
climbing.
one joke. One very good joke that really resonated with the fans, but still. If you want to be in on the whole rock climbing thing, give this one a watch. But it's really best enjoyed by people who already know how the show works, love these characters, and don't mind taking this very slow journey with them.
Who are you? Where are we? Can we get a frame of reference or something, please?
Chill.
Hi, fellas. Look,
Number 3.
I just wanted to let you know, I know this movie's a tough one, and I just wanted to let you know I feel for you.
Frank?
We won.
You lose. I'm going to spit on you now. Just a little spittle called Monster A-Go-Go.
Monster A-Go-Go, Joel.
What could be worse than a film where not very much happens? Why, a film where nothing at all happens! No, seriously, Monster A-Go-Go literally ends with the narrator telling you that nothing in the movie actually happened. I suppose this is supposed to be all deep and existential, but it just comes across as a severe non-ending. The best brains will admit this is one of the worst films they ever riffed. It's also the first episode where none of the host segments have anything to do with the film, because there was so little plot to begin with. What this does give us is some great character moments between everyone on the satellite, but they do assume some familiarity with the characters to be fully enjoyed.
I'm the wind, baby.
Number 2.
It's cracking up, Frank. We've finally done it!
Directed by us.
The crawling eye did make me laugh out loud many times, but not until the end and not until after some painfully long pauses. The good people at Best Brains, Inc. are not too proud of their earlier work. And while I tend to think they're too hard on themselves because they were starting small with an ambitious project that grew bigger than anyone expected, these episodes should only be watched by die-hard fans who love the creators and the characters and want to see where MST got its start.
I spy with my little eye.
You hypocrite.
Oh, Daddy!
And the number one absolute worst episode to try and introduce someone to MST3K is...
Yeah, I thought the composting toilet had backed up. As it turns out, it's this week's experiment.
Hey, Joel.
This is the film that almost broke Joel and the bots. And it's not hard to see why. Well, most of the time, anyway. This has got to be the most incompetently written, staged, lit, and acted movie I've ever seen. It's worse than Monster A Go-Go. Way worse than Manos. Even I felt the pain sitting through it. I will say this, though. The episode is funny, and I mean hilarious. I was laughing out loud throughout the experience, and I really have to give the Best Brains major props for pulling off what they did, considering how little they had to work with. Joel and the bots know when to turn up the snark and when they can just let the film speak for itself. As the movie goes on, the jokes devolve into half-hearted attempts at humor, while the bots sob about how horrible the movie is.
By this time, my lungs were aching. Oh, who cares?
The host segments proceed similarly, with Crow and Servo becoming increasingly upset and running to Joel for comfort until even he breaks down entirely. All hope is not lost, though, and this episode certainly has one of the most triumphant endings in the series, not to mention awesome and heartwarming. But it only reinforces that this episode is for superfans and superfans only. Proceed with caution. The Castle of Fu Manchu is not for the faint of heart, and for everyone who contributed to the writing on this episode, I salute you.
Gotcha!
So there you have it. My advice to any of you who want to introduce this awesome show to a new viewer. I'm eternally optimistic, encouraging you to keep circulating the tapes. But now is the time to bring in new fans. Mystery Science Theater is celebrating its 25th anniversary with this beautiful limited edition collector's tin that features 6 episodes, including 2 of my absolute favorites. So to celebrate this awesome show and all the laughs and surprising amount of feels it has given me, crap, what am I doing? I don't know.